How's it going, everybody? This is BeatTheBush. I haven't made a video in a really long time. That's because I was busy. I was in Taiwan for an entire month, and then when I came back, I was jet lagged for like 2 weeks or so. And then I took 2 additional weeks to just sort of clean up the house, because whenever I'm making product reviews or regular videos, I'm so busy that like the whole house is turned into some kind of pack rat type thing. Not all the way there where people have so much stuff that you only have like a little walkway, enough for you to kind of walk through sideways, right? It's not that bad. I can walk everywhere just fine. But the house is getting a little bit cluttered, and I can only clean it up if, I dedicated all my time to that. So that's what I was doing that whole time. Today I'm going to make a finance video. It's not going to be your traditional one. What I've noticed though is that many times, you need to have a title, like gold hits $5,500 or something, right? And people will click and stuff. But this is going to be sort of like a mashup. I don't hold that much of it. Although, when I bought the coin, I made a video about this. I bought a African Kurgaran that's 1 ounce at $1,300, right? Now it's $5,500. I wish I bought more, and I was seriously thinking about buying a whole pound of it. And at that time, I think it was like $30,000 or so, but should have, could have, right? But at least, just on paper, it's still made about $4,000, or probably close to 300% or so. So times 4 or something like that. Every time I look at it, it seems like the rate of increase is increasing. It's not just linear, right? It became some kind of hockey stick type of thing. So I fully expect it to crash eventually. I don't know when, but I feel it probably would drop below 5,000 some point in the future after, all this fervor is over. So I'm thinking of selling mine at some point. I don't know when, but it's on my mind right now. I'm monitoring it very closely. So if you have any gold, it could be a time to just kind of let go a little bit of it, just to take some money off the table and possibly buy it back later. Let's talk about high yield savings account right now, because that's, where you should park your money, and where I personally find the highest yield savings account. Many times I would go hunt around for it, and I would go on Google and type in, hey, high yield savings account, and I try to find the highest rate one, right? And one of the sites that pop up on the first item most of the time is a site from Bankrate, and they list a lot of different ones. I'm not going to go through specifically on which one is the best, but many times the ones with the highest rate is some no-name bank that you don't know if you're going to lose all your money if you put it in. But if you look at it, those are FDIC insured. And in my experience of reading past defaults on banks, the FDIC does cover it. And the risk here is that, yeah, you will get all your money back. But if the bank ever closes down, it takes approximately, maybe on average, like 8 months before you get maybe like 80% of the money back, and maybe a year or two before you fully get refunded by the insurer, like the federal agencies and stuff. So it takes a little time. So it's not that your money is gonna go away if the bank ever fails. It's just that you're not gonna have access to it. So it's best not to put all your money in one single bank. At least to me, I just kind of spread it across 3 or 4 different banks. In case one goes out, you still have a little bit of money to spend from a different one. Thanks for Bankrate for sponsoring me on this one. I've seen their website many times, and I've used their website to see which one has the highest yielding savings account. So if you guys are interested, check out my referral link down in the video description below, and I can earn some commission if you use my link. Some time ago, I was in a conversation where people were talking about an influencer. They have really high yields or something, like 8 or 9%, and then they put all their money in, and then they can say, okay, from let's say $300,000, you can retire on just that, because let's say you get 9%, right? That's $27,000. So it looks good on paper. You can say, hey, you take this $27,000, you can live in a third world country, live in Asia or something, and you can live like a king, sort of, right, with 27,000. But no one talks about when you have high yield, you have higher risk. the principal is not for sure. You don't get this high yield for nothing. You get the high yield because there's more risk to it. And I've invested in like these municipal bonds that were really high yielding for at one point, and then I just happened to sell it, and then sometime after it dropped suddenly by 10%. So I've been collecting like 5% one year, 5% another year, and then if I were to hold on to it, it drops 10%. All of that will be nulled out. So when you invest in something that's high dividend, remember there's extra risk involved. Even municipal bonds where the underlying asset that they're holding could be defaulted, and when it defaults, all that is written off as zero, and the net asset value, like the inherent how much the whole thing costs, if they happen to be able to liquidate all of it, is going to drop because some of it gets defaulted and it goes to zero. So you don't get more yield and high safety. When you look at high dividend, you might be tempted to think that it's really safe. You might almost think of it as a bond because, hey, look, it pays out every single month, right? So beware of that. When you erroneously invest in a high dividend stock, thinking that the principal is going to hold its value. Let's talk about churning now. I like this card. I just got this card, and this is something I do like year round. As long as credit cards would allow me to get the credit card, I would get a new credit card just to churn it. But lately, I've been thinking that, just getting $100, $200 is not enough. If I'm going to get like a credit check on my credit report, I want at least $500 per credit check. So that's something I personally am shooting for right now. This Westcom UCLA credit card here, it gives me $500 cash back after $2,500 of spending. This is 20% back. Pretty good. Not as good if you're going to try to use this on everyday stuff, right? Instead, I plan to put my property tax on it, or part of it, right? So if I spend $2,500 on property tax, you actually have to pay, 2.3%, which is $57.50 of, transaction fees to the government for the property tax, right? But in turn, you get $500 back. So the difference here is $440. So quick $440 right there. I could have put this property tax on like a Bank of America unlimited card, which is 1.5% times 1.75 if you have like a preferred rewards tier, which is 2.625%. It essentially covers the fee for me without having to pay the fee, and I get like 0.325% back, right? So, versus getting almost nothing back if I just churn a credit card, if I time it just right, get some brand new credit cards where it has about like a couple thousand where I can put the property tax on it, then I get $440 of free money, just like that, if I time it right. I also got another bank account called the US Bank Business Checking. This is something where after you deposit $25,000, you just let it sit in there for 60 days, and you have to have 5 debit card purchases, and then they will give you, $1,200. So that's pretty nice. This is essentially, if you annualize it, this is about a 28% return. So it's really good, $1,200. You do have to pay taxes on whenever you get a bonus for checking accounts, but not so for when you get bonuses for credit cards, because you have to do some spending in order to get that bonus. Whereas a bank account, you put money in and you get money. So there's a difference there. For the government, if you have to spend something in order to get that discount is not taxed. For checking accounts, you don't have to spend anything. You just put money in and then you get $1,200. That's sort of like interest. So you do have to pay taxes on that. So factor that in whenever you do your calculations. So I'm doing well over here. I'm doing a bunch of things in the background. And just a warning to you guys, I did accept a few more of these really high-end robotic vacuum reviews. They just keep on wanting me to do it. I have a few product reviews, but not too many. But hopefully you guys have noticed that I've done quite a few less of them. Only if these advertisers are able to reach this pretty high bar. Some of them, they drop out. They're like, hey, you're charging too much. And I no longer work with them because of that. And that's a good thing because then I would have more free time to make videos like these. What the heck was I doing in Taiwan for an entire month? I was doing a lot of eating, and not just leisurely things. I was going to the doctors. I went to like 4 or 5 different ones. If you guys are interested in the pricing of them, I might make a video on that. That's one video if you guys are interested on medical expenses in Taiwan. And there is another aspect of it, which is stuff that I happen to do that I really liked in Taiwan. It changes all the time. All these places I went to, it's not sponsored. If I really like them, it must be pretty darn good. 2 potential videos. Let me know if you guys want either of them. If you don't want them, I'm not going to make it. Thanks for watching this video. Until next time.